Apple doesn't usually admit when it's behind. So when reports surfaced in 2025 that Apple was considering paying Google to power parts of Siri with Gemini, it wasn't just surprising, it was uncomfortable. Not because Apple can't afford it, but because it breaks a long-standing belief about how Apple operates. Apple doesn't copy, Apple doesn't rent core technology. Apple waits, then ships something better. At least that's the story. But AI has exposed a different reality. For years, Apple publicly downplayed the importance of AI in phones. Executives insisted it wasn't a deciding factor for consumers, and they weren't wrong. Most people don't buy phones for AI features. They buy them for battery life, cameras, reliability, and price. That's exactly why Apple thought it could move slowly. The problem wasn't consumer demand. The problem was credibility. Siri didn't just fall behind. It stalled. While competitors moved toward assistants that could reason, summarize, and plan across apps, Siri remained stuck executing basic commands and handing users web links. When Apple finally announced a major AI push with Apple Intelligence,
Let's get to know Apple Intelligence.
Raised expectations it couldn't meet. Features were marketed before they existed. Timelines slipped. Internally, frustration grew. Senior leaders reportedly described the situation as embarrassing, and engineers started leaving. This wasn't a case of Apple choosing to be late. It was a case of Apple failing to execute. That distinction matters. Apple has always been a company obsessed with control, tight integration, predictable behavior, clear guardrails. That philosophy works incredibly well for hardware and operating systems. But generative AI doesn't behave like hardware. It's probabilistic, inconsistent, messy. Outputs change, errors happen, and that clashes directly with Apple's standards. Instead of bending the product philosophy to fit AI, Apple tried to bend AI to fit the philosophy. It didn't work. By the time Apple realized this, the gap had grown too large to close quickly. Competitors had already trained massive models, refined tooling, and shipped products into the market. Apple was still debating what level of imperfection was acceptable. That's how you end up in a situation where the world's most valuable company considers licensing AI from a direct competitor. And that's the part that really matters. Because this isn't just about Siri. It's about whether building your own AI model even makes sense anymore. Apple's potential deal with Google isn't a sign of desperation. It's a sign of calculation. Training a frontier-level AI model costs tens of billions of dollars. Operating it costs billions more. And the advantage it provides, at least right now, is shrinking fast. For most users, AI is becoming a utility, not a differentiator. If models converge in capability, then owning one isn't strategic. Using one efficiently is. From that perspective, Apple's move starts to look less like failure and more like quiet rejection of the AI arms race. Why spend absurd amounts of capital duplicating a model someone else already built when you can rent it, wrap it in your ecosystem, and keep control over the user experience? That's not how Apple has historically operated, but it might be how Apple survives this phase. Of course, this creates a new tension. Apple's brand is built on privacy. Google's business is built on data. Even if the AI runs on Apple's infrastructure, the optics are uncomfortable. Apple won't talk about this deal publicly. It can't. But the alternative was worse, shipping nothing. And doing nothing in AI would signal irrelevance, not to consumers today, but to developers, partners, and investors thinking 5 years ahead. Here's the uncomfortable truth. AI in phones doesn't matter yet. But falling behind in AI does. Not because users demand it, but because platforms depend on perception. Developers build where momentum exists. Talent moves toward places with ambition. And Apple's AI stumbles created the impression that it wasn't leading anymore. That perception is dangerous. At the same time, this entire episode exposes something deeper about the AI boom itself. If one of the most cash-rich, vertically integrated companies on Earth decides it's smarter to license AI instead of building it, what does that say about the sustainability of current AI spending? Right now, everyone is racing to build the best model. But most users don't need the best model. They need a good enough one, integrated cleanly into products they already use. That shifts the advantage away from raw capability and toward application design. In other words, the value may move up the stack. Apple has always been excellent at building the layer users actually touch: interfaces, workflows, devices. If AI models become commodities, Apple doesn't lose by not owning one. It wins by making them invisible. This doesn't mean Apple handled AI well. It didn't. The rollout was messy, the messaging was premature, the internal coordination failed, and Siri's stagnation damaged trust. But it does mean Apple may be the first major company to openly signal that the AI arms race isn't mandatory. That's controversial, and it goes against the current narrative. Most companies are betting that AI models themselves are the moat. Apple seems to be betting that they aren't. Whether that bet is right depends on how AI evolves. If models keep leaping ahead, Apple will always be dependent. If models plateau, Apple saves billions and regains control. Either way, the era where Apple could afford to wait quietly is over. This moment marks a shift, not the fall of Apple, but the end of the illusion that Apple always arrives late by choice. Sometimes it just arrives late. And in AI, being late forces decisions you never planned to make. That's what we're watching now. Not Apple losing, but Apple recalculating what actually matters in the next phase of technology. Subscribe to Founder Decisions. We don't chase headlines. We analyze what quietly changes outcomes. Subscribe if you want to understand business at the level where decisions really matter.